Very good morning to all. It's my pleasure today to speak with you on green hydrogen production from waste in the context of circular economy. First, I would like to thank Professor Samsuddin, Professor Radhakrishna for giving me this opportunity to share my work in this aspect. So, coming to the overview of the presentation, I would like to start with a fossil-based economy, then move towards linear economy, and how we have to go to circular economy, the need towards moving from linear to circular economy. We'll discuss briefly, and then stress on bioeconomy by keeping waste as a potential feedstock. Subsequently, I would like to discuss three of the process which we can be used for hydrogen production, and also the process which can be integrated towards enhancing resource recovery in the direction of hydrogen production. Finally, I would like to close presentation by discussing on some of the biorefinery model which are circular regenerative in nature. So I am from Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, a premier research laboratory where we used to work on various biological routes in order to convert resource waste into potential resources by circular loop approach. We are using acidogenesis, bioelectrogenesis, photosynthesis, and bionoxygenesis by integrating in a circular loop approach, which I will discuss in this presentation. Starting with some of the critical issues with respect to linear economy, that is fossil-based linear economy. I would like to show some of the figures. We are highly dependent on fossil resources for our energy requirement as well as for our material requirement. Whatever right now, most of the material is also sourced from the fossil-based resource. When we look into the domestic material consumption as per 2010 figures, about 40 billion tons per year is being used by 2010, which accounts for 5 to 27 tons per person per year in a linear economy mode. By 2050, the population will increase to 10 billions from 7.8 billions right now, wherein India contributes to 18% of the global population. We'll have domestic material consumption estimation between 90 to 180 billion tons per year by accounting for 8 to 17 tons per person per year. So there's a great demand for resources, but resources are finite in nature. But if you continue to live like this and produce like today, by 2050, we will need 3 times more resources, 50% more fuel, 70% more food, feed, and fiber, as well as 50% more water. And adding to this, 70% of population lives in cities. The urban cities are basically, they are responsible for 80% of GDP, even though they take 2% of the global area. But 70% population will live by 2050, which is a critical issue, and have 75% of natural resource consumption there, and responsible for 70% of global carbon emissions, which is very critical. Recently in Nature, they published one of the critical issue, like the global human-made mass exceed all living biomass in 6th month of 2020, which is very critical, and which disturbs ecological balance as well as ecological services significantly. So this says that we have to move towards something sustainable, and something resources should be in a very sustainable way, which Sustainable Development Goal 12 says this as a responsible consumption and production. So here I would like to again mention that we are in linear economy, which is a cradle to cradle grave approach, very industrial extractive model we are practicing for past 200 years, like take, make, use, and dispose approach. According to estimate in European Union, per capita use about 15 tons of resources per year, which among which 5 tons will come as a waste and 60% will go to landfills. So this shows that that still resource the waste has resources to be used, but we are throwing it as a waste. So it's a very significant issue. So we have to move something towards sustainability. So transition from linear to circular economy is a very significant way in order to approach self-regenerative capacity of Mother Earth, so that ecological services can be retained. So it's a kind of cradle to cradle model, wherein material which we take from Mother Earth will be used in a process, and then after its utility, the waste, as we say right now, will be resource for other processes. Like that, we can increase the resource recovery efficiency or reduce the loss into the system, material loss. So maximize materials in the circular loop, reduce the loss, so that we will depend less on the fossil-based materials. So this approach is coming up in a significant way. And here I would like to say bio-based economy, particularly with respect to circular loop approach, is very significant because they says that regenerative natural system is very critical. So when we are trying to regenerate the resources, very much similar to nature, what it is doing, then it will have a regenerative capacity. So circular regenerative approach is order of the day, and it's one of the sustainable approach. So here, when we talk about circular economy, waste is one of the important feedstock. In India, we have significant amount of waste, starting from municipal solid waste, sewage, fecal sludge, as well as industrial wastewater, which have inherent potential for energy generation, as well as also potential to recover resource in the form of organic nutrients or chemicals or many other things. However, at present, we are only using 4% of energy, waste to energy potential. But yeah, we have about, according to estimate, 10% increment, annual increment in municipal solid waste generation, which is very significant with respect to resource availability for sector-based bioeconomy. So when I try to put some of the process, some of the waste as well, which can be used by biological process to convert into different products with different applications, which also accounts for waste remediation. So domestic wastewater, industrial wastewater, solid waste, as well as CO2. CO2 can be used as a feedstock for biological process, starting from anaerobic digestion, which is a mature process, to estrogenic fermentation. Likewise, many processes are available, which needs to be treated and then produced towards required materials that will have significant applications. So this says that circular approach as well as bioeconomy is a very critical thing in order to recover the resources from waste in a sustainable way. So for that to happen, we required system enabling process or technologies. I would like to say waste biorefining process in order to make this feasible and more reality. So here I would like to mention again about anaerobic microbiome, which is a very versatile biofactory, wherein when we give carbon in the form of six carbons, glucose in the form of 6 carbons, you can see the metabolic routes going towards different products, starting with methane, which is a matured and easy process, to hydrogen, plastics, lipids, lactic acid. It's a very versatile platform, and we can tweak the metabolic activity towards the requirement of materials which we anticipated. So here, one of the important process I would like to mention is about dark fermentation, which will be able to produce hydrogen as a terminal end product. Hydrogen by dark fermentation using waste is considered to be low carbon as well as green process. And everybody knows that hydrogen is a unique clean energy source and which will not generate any kind of emissions. So in 2005, we started working on hydrogen production by taking waste as a feedstock. And in 2016, we are able to set up a pilot plant with the funding of MNRE, and then we are able to make a waste biorefinery facility integrating hydrogen to maximize the resource recovery with the funding of CSIR. So hydrogen production is very much similar to methanogenesis process, wherein 4 steps are involved. But in hydrogen production, we have to terminate the last step where hydrogen and acetate along with CO2 will be converted to methane. So stopping the final process, methanogenic process, and making the hydrogen as a terminal end product is the basic scope of dark fermentation towards hydrogen production, wherein 1 mole of glucose we can produce about 2 moles of acetic acid, apart from 4 moles of hydrogen. And in a butyric acid pathway, with 1 mole we can produce 2 moles of hydrogen. When we account for waste, 1 kg of COD, if we are able to remove by acetic acid pathway, we can produce about 468 liters of hydrogen. So we studied with different waste waters and we are able to produce good amount of hydrogen, apart from very good amount of CO2 removal efficiency. But hydrogen production efficiency varies between varies based on the wastewater composition, organic loading rate, and biodegradable nature. So, however, when we look into hydrogen production during scaling up, we observed there are some of the inherent limitations or challenges which we need to address. The basic one is with reference to biocatalyst. Biocatalyst, when we are using mixed culture, then there will be always possibility of production of methane because methanogenic bacteria is there. So that has a critical issue while scaling up the process. And apart from that, feedstock, the composition of feedstock, the biodegradability, and the carbon load it has, and availability play a major role. Apart from process inhibition, which happens due to the formation of fatty acid that will give feedback inhibition. And this acid redox condition will reduce the process efficiency. And the other major issue is outlet from hydrogen reactor has rich acids, which will have a critical issue if we are not treating it before disposing. So resource recovery is a major thing here. These are the critical issues we try to solve before scaling up our process to pilot scale. The major thing is with respect to selective enrichment of acidogenic bacteria, which is one of the critical thing to produce hydrogen as a final product. So for this, we try to use some of the classical microbial technique wherein the spore forming bacteria, which is nothing but acidogenic bacteria that can produce hydrogen, can be make into sporination by giving shock flows such as acid shock, alkaline shock, or heat shock. But methanogenic bacteria, which are spore forming bacteria, can be eliminated because of giving the shocks. This has helped us, and this we have tried to optimize for almost 1 year of time in different reactors by different pretreatment methods. And at the end of 1 year, we observed that all the systems had shown enrichment of acidogenic bacteria, that is particularly firmicutes, which are non-hydrogen producing bacteria. So then we try to optimize reactor configuration, but particularly suspended growth systems are not feasible for hydrogen production. However, biofilm systems are robust and can sustain the attachment in the form of biofilm, acidogenic bacteria. So that has shown higher hydrogen production. Apart from that, more the organic loading rate, the more hydrogen production. So we try to study the functional role of organic concentration of wastewater, and observe that up to 50 grams of COD per liter, the hydrogen production has increased significantly, but dropped subsequently because of drop in pH. So then we try to regulate the system buffering capacity by using some of the classic and known techniques such as inorganic ions and feed replacement strategy, apart from CO2 spotting. So this helped us to, this is the diversity which we have studied for almost 6 years of time. At the end of the time, we observed that all the systems, different reactors, has shown enrichment of firmicutes, which are non-hydrogen bacteria. These are the different bioreactors which we have used to scale up the system and optimized parameters, particularly for dark fermentation towards production of hydrogen, wherein biocatalyst enrichment of catalyst is very critical, and pH, acidic pH is more favorable for hydrogen production rather than methane, and less the retention time, more hydrogen production, no need to enhance the growth of methanogenic bacteria. VAS systems are more feasible towards higher hydrogen production. Biofilm configurations are very specifically required for robust acidogenic bacteria. Like that, we try to optimize different conditions in order to maximize the hydrogen production. Apart from that, with the funding of MNRE, we try to develop a pilot plant with 10 meter cube capacity with all accessories that can selectively enrich the bacteria and pre-treat the solid waste if we are using. So then the myogenic municipal waste, particularly with food waste, we try to produce about 50,000 liters of hydrogen per day with 50% conversion efficiency by giving 50 grams of COD per liter. So this is the cost of unit cost of hydrogen per kg. Pilot scale, it's about 240, but at 100 meter cube capacity of reactor volume, it will be near to 150, which is very much near to the market value. So this is the commercial scale of hydrogen production with 10 meter cube capacity, which we have given to some industry. So while looking into the streams, wastewater coming from hydrogen reactor after treatment, we observed it has still significant potential. 50% of carbon is available in wastewater. So then we try to integrate with secondary process, different process, not to maximize the resource recovery in a biorefinery format. Like outlet from hydrogen reactor, we have given to microbial electrolysis cell, where we can produce hydrogen, and methane process, anaerobic process, where methane can be produced. Apart from that, we also has tried to study integration of anoxic systems where bioplastics can be produced. Our outlet can be used for organic farming, or with for microalgae cultivation for biodiesel production with mixotrophic mode of cultivation, or with microbial fuel cell, the fatty acids will convert into energy. And photofermentation takes fatty acids and produce hydrogen. So two ways of integration, we can recover two forms of energies, or one form of energy or one form of material, apart from 90% of carbon conversion efficiency. So important thing here is about HCNG, which the government of India is encouraging. When we supplement less than 20% of hydrogen, that is near to 18% to compressed natural gas as HCNG, that will have a significant potential and environmental aspects, reducing the emissions, and also it can use the same infrastructure which is available right now. So by way of integration of two reactors, one with dehydrogenasis and methanogenesis, are in a single reactor with optimum conditions, we can produce hydrogen and methane at a required concentrations. As I told, the plastic production, which is very important material that has good medical applications by integrating with aerobic bacteria, by giving stress under anoxic conditions, that can produce biopolymers in the form of polyhydroxy alkylate, or this can be used as a phosphate solubilizing agent by 10% supplementation during farming. So another important thing which right now is much discussed about is production of fatty acids from hydrogen production reactor, where in 1 kg of COD we can produce about 0.62 kg of EF in the form of acetate, or 0.41 kg of EF in the bitrate, which is very critical platform chemicals that right now at present we are getting from phases. This area is also coming up, so that it's a win-win situation where we can produce hydrogen as well as fatty acids. Both will have a significant economic value. Likewise, esterogenesis or dark fermentation has significant potential in the primary process, or by integrating in the secondary or a third integration in a biorefinery approach. We can extract resources in a significant way. There are significant scope. Coming to the second process, microbial electrochemical technology, which is again known as a microbial fuel cell, is a significant platform technology which emerged during 2005 particularly. The system, we can use the same bacteria and same wastewater by putting some anode and cathode assembly, separating with proton exchange membrane. Same bacteria can produce protons and electrons apart from CO2. The proton will pass through proton exchange membrane, and electron passes through anode to resistant and enter cathode in presence of oxygen. It will form into H2O, which will create a cell EMF that is nothing but electricity. So 1 mole of glucose can produce 24 moles of protons and 24 electrons, and 1 kg of COD will be able to produce about 170 watts of energy. But at present, theoretically, practically we are producing 20% of theoretical energy. So during these 15 years of time, this microbial fuel cell has significantly diversified and has become one of the emerging platform technology, particularly to maximize the resource recovery from any kind of waste, or towards integrating in a biorefinery approach to maximize the resource recovery aspects. So it can take any kind of wastewater, from domestic to industrial wastewater, or fermentation effluent, or it can take CO2 or semi-gas or saline wastewater. If we want power, it can be called as MFC, but subsequently it can be renamed as bioelectrochemical treatment when we are only interested in treatment, or bioelectrochemical system where we can produce hydrogen, or we can produce platform chemicals by using CO2 or some other organic source. Microbial electrolysis cell can produce hydrogen with little input of energy. Desalination cell can produce treated water by segregating the saline content of the wastewater. So it emerged as a significant emerging technology during these 15 years of time. So coming to the wastewater treatment, particularly waste power generation, we tried with initially with power production and optimize the reactor conditions with low cost microbial fuel cells we have developed with non-catalyzed electrodes that can produce significant amount of power apart from wastewater treatment. This is another version of a fuel cell system, stacking system, which we have developed with in a project, the New Indigo project, that can produce 1 watt per meter square of energy with domestic wastewater, and different other configurations which I will not go into deep, but some of the optimum conditions for particularly for power generation is listed here with respect to distance between electrode materials and pH. But the most important process, particularly with respect to MFC diversification, is bioelectrochemical system for biorefinery. So here I would like to explain a little bit on this and different aspects. Particularly, we can use this MFC system or bioelectrochemical system as a pre-treatment system towards reducing the complexity of any wastewater before going to either biomethanogenesis process or direct fermentation process or any fermentation process. This will increase the productivity in the secondary reactor by reducing the complexities. Here you can see when we have integrated with hydrogen reactor, before the integration single step, the hydrogen production was about 600 ml, but increasing the integrating the system with pre-treatment, we are able to produce near to 1000 liter, more than 50% increment, 100% increment in the hydrogen production was observed. Similarly, we can integrate as a pre-treatment system for domestic waste, solid waste that increase the fatty acid production and subsequently used for estrogen fermentation towards fatty acids are used for sewage sludge that can increase hydrogen production subsequently, apart from extracting the stovite, or in a microbial electrolytic cell where we can input with little applied potential, we can produce hydrogen, or in electrofermentation, which is emerging technology where we can regulate the metabolic process, fermentation process towards the product which we require, or towards increasing the productivity of any specific kind of process, like we have used to fatty acid production, where increment in fatty acid was more than 50% apart from hydrogen production. And another important application is biogas upgradation, where methanogenesis process has its own limitations, wherein 55 to 60% methane is produced apart from CO2, but by a set of defined electrode assembly, we can increase the methane content of the biogas as well as reduce the CO2 by converting it into methane by syntrophic association of electrode and a specific group of bacteria. Apart from that, we can also increase the total biogas production. So this biogas upgradation is also coming in a big way by taking advantage of direct electron transfer mechanism. So another last application which is very critical is the CO2 sequestration. Microbial fuel cell in a defined electrode assembly at cathode can convert CO2 into fatty acids by using homoestrogenic bacteria, which is one of the emerging area. So here the productivity increment is very critical. So CO2 directly towards fatty acids is an important entity, and this fatty acids can be subsequently converted into different finer chemicals or some kind of fuels like ethanol. So we are trying to look into production of succinic acid, high value compound, by sequestering CO2 in a defined fuel cell assembly by giving little input of energy by specific bacteria, Citrobacter amyloidosis, by giving waste carbon source. This is helping to increase the chain elongation from acetic acid towards succinic acid by utilizing CO2. This area is also one of the important area which is emerging. And we are also working on gas fermentation here to sequester CO2 from acidogenic reactor, where about 40 to 55% of CO2 is also produced in the hydrogen production by direct fermentation. So this is a practically viable process wherein by inputting of specific amount of gas pressure in head space, we can use homoestrogenic bacteria to convert it into fatty acids by influxing some of the electron donor. We are trying to regulate the incremental increase of production of fatty acids by using some of the low cost electrodes, electron supply. So likewise, there are significant scope. I will not go into deep, but you can see that there are various products that can be produced by CO2 by using electrofermentation route. The last process I would like to explain is on photosynthetic machinery, where everybody know that photosynthesis is the main process on Earth where humans are dependent and surviving also. So we try to use microalgae and with two phases of operation, growth and stress phase, by mixotrophic mode, trying to use carbon from both the gaseous form as well as from organic form from wastewater to convert it to biomass initially. Subsequently, by stress condition, can be converted into lipids that will have biodiesel value. So the basic objective of starting this process is to integrate with hydrogen production reactor, where the outlet from hydrogen reactor rich in fatty acid will be used for biomass production, subsequently for biodiesel production. This we are able to come up to pilot scale with 50 grams per liter of biomass production, apart from 30 to 40% of for lipid productivity. These are the two raceway plants with 3000 liter capacity integrated with hydrogen production process. Different photoreactors which we try to optimize. It's a flat funnel system which is more efficient. There's a photoreactor and oxy raceway plants of 3000 liter capacity. And CO2 sequestration, particularly with microalgae and other things, has significant potential to convert it into different value-added products. So our basic objective is to try to integrate various processes in a refinery approach to close the loops. So we would like to call it as the waste biorefinery facility, wherein similar to petrochemicals, where biocrude, petroleum crude will be refined to different products. Likewise, we consider waste as a crude, and we can convert by integrating different biological and thermal process. In a circular loop approach, we can also produce different kinds of products which will have significant applications. Likewise, we try to develop a model in IICT, the funding of CSR, by integrating hydrogen production, where we can take wastewater or waste, and waste needs to be pre-treated. Initially, it will go to microbial fuel cell system, where it produces little bit of electricity apart from reducing the complexity of wastewater, for subsequent acidogenic process for hydrogen production, where 60 to 70% of carbon will be converted, and the residual carbon will go for third process, either photohydrogen, methanogenesis, xenoxygenesis, or microbial fuel cell, algal cultivation, to produce third form of product, either in the form of biofuel or some kind of chemicals. By this way of integration, three process, we can reduce 90% of carbon or recover 90% of carbon. 10% carbon will be pre-treated at the terminal point and can be used in the process when we are using solid waste, or we can use for gardening. So a kind of closing the loop and maximizing the resource recovery. This we have developed as a waste biorefinery platform in IICT, integrating to hydrogen production process, closed view of different unit operation, 10 metric capacity. So then we try to study the sustainability of this process with respect to life cycle assessment, with comparing to the existing process. And we observed that this is the process with hydrogen production alone. This is the process with integrating biorefinery approach, wherein all parameters with respect to 4 damage categories: resources, ecosystem, human health, and climate, are better with respect to the closed loop approach. And when compared to the conventional process which right now being used, the hydrogen production process, biohydrogen production process, is less impacting on human health as well as ecosystem quality compared to the 4 of the other process. Likewise, climate change also, it has a negative side because it's not using any resources, and resources also, waste is only being used as a resource. So it says that this process has a sustainable entity and can be considered for integrating into the existing green infrastructure. So apart from these models, we are also trying to look into other waste biorefinery models. In the Indo-UK Industrial Waste Challenge project, we are seeing sugarcane industry as a potential source in order to make a refinery that can use 2 waste sources, such as sugarcane bagasse towards high-value products and spent wash towards acidogenesis, dark fermentation, hydrogen production, and fatty acids. This process, right now, we are trying to scale up by putting a pilot plant at site in Gayatri Sugars towards production of hydrogen as well as fatty acids. And this is another version that using bagasse, we are trying to produce some of the value-added chemicals, platform chemicals such as crystalline cellulose as well as nanocellulose, apart from gyrita. So another model which right now we are very much extensively studying is CO2 biocapture models in a biorefinery approach. We are majorly focusing on photosynthetic mechanism as a primary part, where we can develop a self-sustainable systems using microalgae or using Agella or duck roots. So this approach we have developed for a DBT Tata Innovation Fellowship, different integration approaches that can take microalgae or Agella as a feedstock and convert it to different products in a circular loop approach. This is a model which we have developed with microalgae towards a closed loop approach, producing multiple chemicals. And this is the model, self-sustainable photosynthetic model, which Agella starting with wastewater treatment and then integrating different process towards different resources in a circular loop approach. These kind of model we are also trying to develop for DST Indo-Korean project, particularly towards developing electrofermentation system by using the resources which is again coming from photosynthetic process. Increase the rate of electrofermentation is the major objective. These two circular loop approaches we are trying to integrate into the main loop in order to maximize the resource recovery without giving any inputs from external source, but developing self-sustainable systems that can produce different chemicals. Likewise, I would like to show this slide at the end that linear economy to circular economy is very important, and there is a lot of opportunities. This is the complex diagram which I have taken from ASDOE, where all materials are being produced from fossils such as petroleum and natural gas. The same materials we can also produce by using biomass to a greater extent. So by way of using biomass or biowaste to produce these chemicals, we can retain the fossil resources for some more time for future generation. Apart from that, we can also reduce the climate emissions. So this is the significance of circular economy as well as bioeconomy, and this has significant potential. Particularly in Indian context, there is about annual growth rate of 7%. So far it's not being considered as industry, but it has a significant role to play. Now it is in a segregated mode, in a segregated unorganized sectors, but it has a lot to do and also has a lot of challenges which needs to be addressed. There is a very good scope for small scale and medium scale entrepreneurs to take up these kind of strategies to support the circular economy and bioeconomy as well as renewable energy. And this required a lot of focused interdisciplinary research particularly, and also supports majority of the sustainable development goals. And I would like to thank my students whose work I have presented here, and also funding from Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Department of Biotechnology, Department of Science and Technology, as well as Council for Scientific and Industrial Research for funding this research. Thank you very much for your kind attention.